She was a young child, like 14 years old,
Uh-huh.
and she started getting left lower limb involuntary movements.
Acha.
And her brain MRI showed some lesions which were looking like congenital,
Mm-hmm.
and but the history was not matching with it. And she continued to convulse for 1.5 months. She was in ICU for on ventilator for a very long period of time, and despite giving her 9-10 of the medicine, including anesthetic agents, those movements wouldn't stop. Then finally we had to go ahead with a brain biopsy,
Acha.
and it was diagnosed to have a inflammatory disorder.
So,
We
how does it feel to see a patient who has been in the ICU for 1.5 months and then walks into your OPD one
very
fine
very
day?
happy, very happy, very happy to see her. You're very happy for her that she is just 14 years old and she came out of that storm.
People with epilepsy can't lead normal lives.
They
How many times
definitely
have you
can.
heard this?
Umpteenth number of times.
Let this be the last time.
Yes, they can definitely lead a normal life.
Epilepsy is always inherited.
No, definitely not. Most of the patients who come to us, they don't have a family history of epilepsy.
Epilepsy. You should put something in person's mouth during a seizure. Epilepsy, one of the most commonly misunderstood neurological conditions, often surrounded by so many myths that affect both the diagnosis and the care. In today's episode, we take a clear practical look at what epilepsy truly is, why it occurs, and how can it be effectively managed. We will discuss the wide spectrum of seizures, the advances in the treatments, and the importance of early evaluation. Our focus is on awareness, what patients' families need to know, and even the clinicians should know. Joining us today is Dr. Aradhana Chauhan, a distinguished neurologist at Sayadri Hospital, Deccan, Gymkhana, Pune. Dr. Chauhan is renowned for her precision in diagnosing complex and neurological conditions and her deeply compassionate approach to patient care. Her key areas of specialization includes stroke, epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, and migraines. She completed her MBBS from MUHS Nasik, which was followed by DNB in general medicine, and she is also a gold medalist in DNB neurology. Beyond clinical practice, she has actively contributed in research, workshops, and scientific publications, strengthening advancements in neurology. Her dedication has earned her recognition and awards, making her a respected voice in the field of neurology. We are thrilled to have her with us today to share her insights and expertise. Welcoming Dr. Aradhana Chauhan. Hello and welcome to Sayadri Health Talks. I'm Dr. Tushita, and today we have with us Dr. Aradhana Chauhan. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Welcome on Sayadri Health Talks. And we are going to talk about epilepsy today.
Yep.
And why epilepsy? Because, while I was trying to find the topic and, do that, epilepsy is one neurological condition which has so many myths around it.
That's right.
And few of the biggest myths which we are going to discuss, we'll get into that. And before that, how is this journey in neurology for you? I mean, how did you land up being a neurologist?
Uh, Actually, while doing my PG, I was very much interested in neurology. Actually, I would
Okay.
diagnose them at MD level only.
Acha.
So I got very much interested in that. My teacher, who is Dr. Divte, he is a neurologist, and I was very much inspired by him. So I always wanted to do neurology. So
So
he
very,
only
very
inspired
clear
me.
from day one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If at all I wanted to do super specialty, I would have done in neurology. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done any
Oh,
super specialty. That was clear in my mind
so
since day one.
how has this journey been so far for you?
It's good. I passed out in 2017, and since then I've joined the same institute, and it is going on very well. I'm very much happy. I'm getting variety of the patients, so I'm happy seeing them.
So do you get overwhelmed at times? I mean, your OPD lines are huge. So
Uh,
how does it? How do
at
you wind up?
I at times, because being a female, we have family and children and everything at times. But at the end of the day, when you are doing something which you like, So you become happy.
Absolutely, can't agree
Yes.
more to that.
Yeah.
So, on that note, starting today's discussion about epilepsy, so we'll start from something which is very basic, trying to understand why epilepsy happens. So, what causes epilepsy?
See, there is no a single answer to this. It is
Mhm.
multifactorial. There are sometimes genetic factors, and most of the times they are not. Actually,
Mhm.
this is the most important thing, and it is usually secondary to something which has happened.
Mm.
Like in children, it might be secondary to prematurity, any brain thing which has happened, like perinatal injuries,
Acha.
some infection or hypoxia or
Mhm.
hypoglycemia immediately after birth.
Mhm.
So that is seen in children.
Mhm.
And in adults, usually that is secondary to like trauma, traumatic
Mhm.
brain injuries are common, and then stroke. Patient might have had a stroke during their adulthood, and followed by that, they can develop seizures.
Mhm.
And another thing is if they would have had developed any infection, like in children,
Mhm.
like neurocysticercosis, any tuberculosis in the brain,
Mhm.
that can also later develop
Mhm.
seizures or epilepsy.
So, how does epilepsy differ from a single seizure?
The thing is, a seizure is a symptom, we can say. The
Acha.
event that has happened, like, we see tonic-clonic movements
Hmm.
or one thing which is shaking, that's a seizure.
Mhm.
And what is epilepsy is when you are getting repeated seizures, or
Acha.
that's a tendency of a brain
Mhm.
to have repeated seizures. So ILA definition of epilepsy is when you have two or more unprovoked seizure,
Acha.
or if you have a single seizure and
Mhm.
the preference, or what you say, chance of having another seizure is more than 60%, then you
Acha.
call it as epilepsy.
Okay.
So that is how we diagnose epilepsy.
Mhm.
Always a single seizure may not get converted into epilepsy.
Acha.
Single seizure can have just a cause, like, if you have a reduced sugar, like
Hmm.
hypoglycemia,
Hmm.
if somebody has alcohol,
Mhm.
a binge alcohol, or an alcoholic having a withdrawal seizure, if
Acha.
somebody is having hyponatremia, they
Hmm.
can just get a seizure, a single event, and when you
Mhm.
treat that thing,
Hmm.
the seizure never comes back.
Mhm.
But in epilepsy, even
Mhm.
if there is no treatable cause as such for that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So they keep on having just seizures. That's why we call it as epilepsy. Meaning, suppose somebody has a tumor, so definitely he has, bound to have another seizure. So that is epilepsy. We have
Mhm.
to treat that seizure also. We have to
Mhm.
treat that cause also.
Mhm.
If the tumor is resectable, we resect the tumor.
Mhm.
And then if it is completely gone, probably the seizure also is gone.
Mhm.
But if the tumor is partially resectable, or
Hmm.
there is a scar after removing the seizure, then definitely that person is going to have a scar epilepsy, what we call it as.
Mhm.
So in children also, there are some congenital defects in the brain by
Mhm.
birth,
Mhm.
like cortical dysplasia or
Hmm.
some abnormality in the structure of the brain.
Hmm.
Obviously, that is not going to go.
Hmm.
So they are going to have epilepsy, means seizures. So
Seizures.
they have
So
epilepsy.
while thanks for explaining this in so much of depth about difference between a single seizure and epilepsy, but for a layman's perspective, it might not be very easy for them to rule out that what are the incident rates and how many times it has happened. So what would be your one piece of advice for people who have experienced this, and how many episodes of seizures are a red flag that needs to be addressed? And I think it is particularly more common in children that needs to be because in adults you might still see a pattern, observe a pattern. So how many seizures and what's the red flag here?
See, the thing is, in fact, the pattern is more common in children rather
Oh,
than the
it's
adults.
reverse.
It's reversed.
Acha.
So in children, we have certain patterns of seizures. Like you must have heard that from 6 months to 5 years, if a child gets a seizure in high fever,
Acha.
that is called as febrile seizure.
Hanji.
That's a very benign condition,
Acha.
actually.
Acha.
So we don't continue with the medicines in those children.
Hmm.
We just gives them some medicine and ask them to keep the temperature normal.
Hmm.
When that child gets a high seizure,
Hmm.
a high temperature.
Hmm.
So that is the only thing. There
Hmm.
are certain benign types of seizure in children,
Acha.
like absence seizures. There is which is called as childhood absence, in which
Hmm.
what happens is the child becomes, just has a starey look, become detached from the surroundings, last for about few seconds, and then they come back to the
अच्छा,
presence.
अच्छा.
So usually because of this, they are not diagnosed to have seizures actually. The school and the teacher complains that the child is not attentive in that case, and then probably that comes to us very late actually, and then they are diagnosed to have absence seizures, and we just give treatment for some period of time, and they are off this epilepsy. So
अच्छा,
certain patterns are very very important. Similar kind of thing is a benign Rolandic epilepsy that we call it
अच्छा,
as. That is also a pattern in children. That is
अच्छा.
again a benign epilepsy. We give treatment for certain period of time, and that is gone completely. Similarly, in adolescence, there is something which is called as juvenile myoclonic epilepsy. That is also has a similar kind of a pattern in which they get such myoclonic jerks, especially when they get up in the morning, and followed by that they can have a generalized tonic-clonic seizure.
अच्छा,
Again, that has a typical clinical pattern, that has typical EEG pattern also.
अच्छा.
So that's how we diagnose it, and then we assure our parents that it is a benign kind of epilepsy, and with certain duration of the treatment, they can go off the treatment.
What about adults?
Adults usually, like I've told you, they have a problem, and secondary to that, they get seizures.
अच्छा.
Like if you have a tumor, like I said just recently, or a
Yeah.
stroke, or a scar, or an infection,
Hmm.
that is not going to go.
Hmm.
So that's why they have certain patterns or that kind of a seizure, and that is not, you need to keep them for a longer period of time, the treatment, until and unless the primary cause is treatable. So that's how we go with adults, but there are certain kind of epilepsies in them also, which can start at any age, like temporal lobe epilepsy. Temporal lobe epilepsy can occur at any age, and usually the MRI shows some abnormality and may not show any abnormality.
Okay.
So when the MRI is normal, but the person is getting repeated
Repeated
seizures.
seizures.
So in those patients, it is difficult to stop the treatment because we don't know the source of it, and then sometimes some advanced investigations are done to find out the source of it.
So, are there any warning signs before this seizures actually come?
Right. See, the thing is, when the patient comes to us with the complaints of seizures, we grossly divide them into whether those were generalized seizures or whether those are focal seizures. What do we mean by this is, in generalized seizures, there is a typical that we see, there is a generalized tonic-clonic movement, there is frothing from mouth, there is a tongue bite, there is urinary incontinence. So that is called generalized seizure. And focal seizures, in that you just get a single upper limb movement, or just a twitching of a face,
One side of the
yes,
face.
or just a steri look, or some sensory aura.
Acha.
When you have a focal seizure, in that definitely you have an aura. What do we call it as? Means you can get the warning sign. The person knows that there is some rising sensation from stomach, there is a strong smell, or there is some sensory abnormality in one side of your body, and then this after this warning sign, they get or may not get a bigger seizure. So in focal seizures, you get warning signs. In generalized seizure, they don't usually, they just fall.
Okay. So, how, when it comes to the diagnosis part of it, what tests are typically done? I mean, are there any separate set of tests which are specifically done for epilepsy?
Yes. First and foremost, the important thing is there is no single test to
Acha.
diagnose epilepsy.
Acha.
Most important is history. It is always that in neurology. So we have to go back to the history. We need to ask patient, like the most important thing is aura. What did they feel just before happening that seizure? The bystanders are very, very important. We need to ask them, what did you see first? Whether there was any stereo look, followed by that there was a GTC, or when you saw at that time where there was a tonic posturing of one limb, followed by that the patient fell. How were his eyes? Was there any uprolling of the eyes? Were his eyes were deviated to one side, right side, left side?
So, every detail
yes,
is
yes. So
required.
it is very, very important to basically divide them whether they were actually seizures or not.
Acha.
Now, when we have diagnosed clinically that most probably this is a seizure, to confirm that, we have a certain group of investigations. First is EEG, that we all of us know. We have to take a EEG record.
Mhm.
We have to make the patient lie down and
Mhm.
record his brain activity.
Acha.
That needs to be done at least for 40 minutes. We
Mhm.
have to have a sleep record as well as an awake record
Mm.
to increase the diagnostic, possibility of a seizure. So in that, again, the most important thing is even if the person has had seizure, despite that the EEG can be normal. So
Acha.
this is very important because one many a times what we say that clinically definitely we feel that this is a seizure.
Mm.
Then when the EEG comes normal, patients' relatives comes to us and then say you've said that it is a seizure, but
But
EEG
EEG
is
is
normal.
normal.
So how can you say that? Like I've told you, it's a clinical diagnosis. If EEG is abnormal,
Mm.
that supports our diagnosis.
But that's not a confirmatory thing.
Yes. If EEG is normal, it doesn't rule out that there is no epilepsy.
Yeah.
So if we do repeated EEG, like after doing 3 EEGs, there is a high chance that we can pick up an abnormality.
Mm.
Another thing is if we do EEG earlier phase, like if you've
Mm.
had a seizure today and we do it immediately within 24-48 hours,
Mm.
it is very likely that EEG can pick up that abnormality.
Acha.
If we do it later, the very likely that EEG can be normal. Similarly, MRI is this thing. Like I've told you, if at all there is anything, we can pick it up. Like in adults, if there is a tumor, if there is a stroke, if there is
whatever
a
the
scar,
cause it
yes,
is.
if there is a old neurocysticercosis ka kuch to scar hai, so that can be that we can pick it up. And if in children there is any congenital abnormality, cortical dysplasia or anything, we can pick it up. So, and in temporal lobe epilepsy, we can have hippocampal sclerosis or medial temporal sclerosis, mesial temporal sclerosis, that we can pick it up on MRI. So, we have to correlate all these three things and then tell the patient that yes, you have epilepsy, which kind of epilepsy, and what is the plan of the treatment further.
So, when it comes to the treatment aspect of it, how do you approach and how do you plan out the treatment for
Yes.
the patients?
Now, after diagnosing epilepsy and classifying them, like whether it's a focal thing, generalized thing, there is a cause or there is no cause, right? Now, there are certain types of epilepsies. If we categorize them into, they respond to certain typical drugs. Like I've told you, juvenile myoclonic epilepsy.
Yes.
That responds very well to valproate, levetiracetam, lamotrigine.
Acha.
And if it is a absence seizure, that also responds very well to valproate, sodium valproate, ethosuximide and lamotrigine. If there is a temporal lobe epilepsy or a focal kind of a seizure, there are certain drugs which respond very well to such epilepsies, like scarbazepine, oxcarbazepine, lacosamide. These drugs are drugs of choice for these things. Why this is important? If you prescribe a wrong kind of a medicine to such kind of some kind of epilepsy, so they don't respond, then probably you can call them and they're not responding to medicines. But the very fact that they have selected a wrong medicine for long
group of medicine for the wrong group of
yes,
patients.
so that is very important. That's why we investigate this patient thoroughly, classify them first, and then start treatment.
While I have this question in the Mythbuster section as well, but I will ask you this right away. There is a common belief that these medicines जितना असर करते हैं उससे ज्यादा side effects होते हैं इनके.
Yes.
So how do you address this kind of apprehensions when it comes to patient?
See, the thing is, first we have to weigh the benefits over the side effects. Side effects are going to happen with everything.
Yeah.
Whichever the drug has effects, that means it has side effects, right? So if in a child, if we don't start the treatment early, that child can have delayed brain development. That is a disaster for a child.
Yeah.
And now there are amazing newer drugs which has come. It has least side effects. So that's what we counsel them. What are the common side effects? Those are like sedation, giddiness. That can be addressed very, very well. We start very slowly, and then increase the dose very, very gradually. That's how the side effects are not much.
So when it comes to lifestyle management, right? Stress being one of the major part of our life of late. Stress, and then irregular sleep cycle, improper diet. How does all these play in a successful treatment outcome, because all these aspects are equally important
Yes.
along with the main line of treatment.
Yes, yes, Tushita, you're absolutely right. It is equally important, I would say, as medicines are, as far as the medicines are. The thing is, even if you are well controlled on the medicines, like for a year or 6 months, you are absolutely seizure free. But someday you had a stressful day, you didn't sleep on that particular day. Definitely, you can have a seizure despite being regular on the treatment.
Oh.
So that's how we tell all of our patients that sleep is very, very important. One most important triggering factor is sleep and physical and mental stress. Along with that, diet is also very important. You cannot fast. You have to have a good diet. That's what we tell all our patients. And obviously, alcohol abstinence is also very, very important. Because from this side you're consuming medicines, and that side you're consuming alcohol, so it
doesn't balance.
doesn't balance, and you can definitely have a seizure, breakthrough seizure.
What's that one common thing you have seen across all epileptic patients?
Meaning, what are you asking about?
No, so when it comes to patients,
Yeah.
and how their approach is towards epilepsy, and the entire,
As far as the treatment is concerned,
treatment, living with epilepsy,
okay,
right? Living with epilepsy, that accepting that it's
Yeah.
there, and
Yeah.
now I have to deal with it.
Yes,
It will not only require a medical treatment, but also a lot of lifestyle changes and so on. So what is that one thing which you see common across all patients?
Most of the patients usually they accept it. Usually the parents are the one who are more worried than the patients, especially in the younger age, and especially when the patient is not married, girl. So they're very much worried. They don't want to tell, they keep it as a secret. They should not, the relatives,
They don't disclose
yes,
it,
disclose that their child has a seizure. So in that case, it becomes really difficult, So we have to sit with them and tell them that it is not a stigma anymore. You have definitely you have a treatment, good treatment options now, and 70% of the patients, they do recover, or they are well controlled with a single or a max to max 2 drugs. So they have a very good chance, it is okay. Even if they are epileptics at this age, that is okay. Anyways, you have a chance of getting a seizure, 1 in 100. Any of us, 1 in 100 can have the chance of getting a seizure. So that is okay. And it is a treatable disease. It is not like that the child is going to have any abnormality later, or she can inherit that to her child. That she can.
I think this is one of the most common myths about epilepsy, that pregnancy is very difficult with epilepsy, and your child will have epilepsy if you have it.
Yes.
So I think it's time that we
Yes.
read more about it,
Right.
know more about it.
Yes. And awareness is the only thing, by which we should go. People should know that this is a treatable disorder, and they can live a normal life. They can do everything what a normal person does with medicine. That's the only thing which may not last for a longer period of time also. And even if they last, it is not that harmful. People, we see that diabetes, hypertension, it is so common, and people are on the medicines for years together. That they are living a normal life. It's the same kind of a thing. But acceptance is very, very difficult, as far as the epilepsy is concerned.
True. Okay, so that's about knowing almost every aspect of epilepsy. Moving on to the next segment, which is a mythbuster. So I'll read out a few lines. I'm very sure you are tired of hearing them. So let's burst some myths once and for all. Epilepsy is contagious.
Definitely not. It's a brain condition. So how can it be contagious?
People with epilepsy can't lead normal lives. How many times have you heard this?
Umpteenth number of times.
Let this be the last time.
Yes. They can definitely lead a normal life.
Okay. All seizures involve convulsions or shaking.
No, they are not. They are not. Sometimes the seizures, as I told you, they can be just a sensory symptoms, like only just a tingling sensation, or a starey look. That can also be a seizure.
Okay. Epilepsy is always inherited.
No, definitely not. Most of the patients who come to us, they don't have a family history of epilepsy.
Okay. Patients with epilepsy should not go to work school or drive. I mean, it's too extreme, but then,
No. They can lead absolute normal life like all of us.
uh, seizures are caused by mental illness or possession.
No, definitely not. That might be because that presentation which looks so horrifying.
Yeah,
Earlier,
it's
probably people used to.
very
Yeah,
intimidating at
yeah,
times. You should put something in person's mouth during a seizure.
yeah. This is also very, very important. Actually, people keep something in their mouth. It is very dangerous for the patient and also the person who's keeping something in the mouth.
So what
So
have you heard?
yeah,
Keep in. I mean, what do they
if
keep?
somebody puts a finger in patient's mouth, that can get fractured.
Oh,
Yeah, the tooth can get fractured. And that's what we have seen. Then nothing happens. You just have to keep a patient, safe and turn to one side and just wait.
okay.
You need not do anything.
What about ये सुंघा दो वो सुंघा दो?
नहीं बिल्कुल भी
कुछ
नहीं,
मत
बिल्कुल
सुंघाओ।
नहीं सुंघाना है बिल्कुल नहीं सुंघाना है.
Epilepsy is untreatable.
Definitely it is treatable. Definitely.
Definitely, yes.
Yes.
Pregnancy is unsafe for women with epilepsy. I think this is what we were
Yes,
discussing.
yes.
Right?
Pregnancy is absolutely normal. They can go ahead with a normal delivery also. No need to go even for this
C-section
cesarean
or
section.
anything.
Yes.
Yeah. Seizures always occur suddenly without warning.
No, in generalized clonic seizure, they can. But in focal seizures, they can get aura and they can sit somewhere and tell somebody that I'm going to get a seizure. So in focal seizures, it may not be always.
Okay, so that's about epilepsy and the common myths which prevail around it. Before we let you go, we have a ritual of hearing some stories from our doctors. So tell us some story, some patient case where it was really challenging or difficult one, which has left a mark on your heart and made you feel good about being a neurologist.
Yes. I can tell you a recent patient who was admitted with us just a few months back.
Acha.
She was a young child, like 14 years old,
Uh-huh.
and she started getting left lower limb involuntary movements.
Acha.
And her brain MRI showed some lesions which were looking like congenital, and but the history was not matching with it. And she continued to convulse for 1.5 months. She was in ICU for on ventilator for a very long period of time, and despite giving her 9-10 of the medicine, including anesthetic agents, those movements wouldn't stop. Then finally, we had to go ahead with a brain biopsy, and it was diagnosed to have a inflammatory disorder. We gave some anti-inflammatory medicines. After that, also after giving that, after 10 days of giving that, it stopped. She still comes to me now after 4 months, and now we started reducing her medicines. It was a very difficult case.
So how does it feel to see a patient who has been in the ICU for 1.5 months and then walks into your OPD one
very
fine
very
day?
happy, very happy, very happy to see her. You're very happy for her that she is just 14 years old and she came out of that storm, and we could help her coming out of that
Especially
storm.
for the family, it must be such a
Yes.
relieving moment,
Yes.
right?
It's very difficult to convince family also at this tender age, to go ahead with the biopsy. They were not even ready to go ahead with the biopsy. They were not accepting first and foremost thing that is needed. We've convinced them a lot as a department, as a neurology department, as a ICU department. We have worked very hard on her and convince their parents, and then finally they give consent, and then we could move ahead and give her those medicines. And thank God she came out of it.
And she's doing well
Yes,
now.
she's doing well. She's coming, walking, and doing everything.
Perfect. I mean, it's a great feeling, I'm very sure.
Yes, absolutely.
So what would be one final message that you have for all our viewers out there about epilepsy, because it's epilepsy month? So what message do you have?
Yeah, I would tell our viewers that epilepsy is no more a stigma. Please, if at all you have certain kind of symptoms, visit a neurologist, get yourself investigated, and please start treatment. It is definitely treatable, and start treatment as soon as possible.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast and having a wonderful discussion on epilepsy. I'm very sure we have busted a lot of myths today, and some good known facts about epilepsy are discussed, right? Thank you once again. Thanks a lot. On that note, this is Dr. Tushita signing off, Sayadri Health Talks.